ever heard of a single letter, just one, helping push two nations into war? Well, that's exactly what happened in 1898 with something called the Lôme Letter, one of the most explosive leaks in American history, long before emails and digital spying. So here's the story. In late 1897, Enrique Dupuy de Lôme, the Spanish ambassador to the United States, wrote what he thought was a private letter to his friend José Canalejas, Spain's foreign minister in Havana, Cuba. In this letter, de Lôme let loose his personal opinions about U.S. President William McKinley, and they weren't exactly friendly. He called McKinley weak, accused him of catering to public pressure, and even described him as a politicaster, basically a petty politician, trying too hard to please warmongers in his own party. It was the kind of message you'd expect someone to vent about privately, and the kind of message you'd never want the entire country to read. But that's exactly what happened. Cuban rebels intercepted the letter and saw the perfect opportunity. They passed it to William Randolph Hearst's New York Journal, a newspaper famous for big headlines and big drama. And on February 9th, 1898, the press exploded, literally calling it the worst insult to the United States in its history. Suddenly, this private letter became national news, and Americans were furious. At the time, tension between the U.S. and Spain was already boiling. Many Americans supported Cuban rebels fighting for independence, so when they saw a foreign ambassador insulting their president, it was like adding gasoline to a fire. The backlash was immediate. Public outrage surged. Diplomats scrambled. De Lôme admitted he wrote the letter and resigned before the U.S. could formally demand his removal. But the damage was done. Trust between the U.S. and Spain shattered even further. Now, here's where things get even bigger. Even though the de Lôme letter wasn't the single cause of the Spanish-American War, it was a major spark. Just days later, on February 15th, the USS Maine exploded in Havana Harbor, killing over 260 American sailors. The combination of the letter and the explosion pushed the U.S. closer and closer to declaring war. President McKinley, who had been trying to avoid conflict, suddenly couldn't ignore the wave of anger sweeping across the country. And that's how a private message meant for one person helped shift entire nations toward the Spanish-American War. It's a reminder of just how powerful words can be, especially when the whole world ends up reading them.